What is up, guys, gals, everyone who's here? It's your boy Derek from Mediocre Streams, and I'm here to talk to you about the new gaming sensation, the smash hit Highguard. You saw the thumbnail, you know this is not a smash hit. This is the opposite of a smash hit. What is the opposite of a smash hit? This is not even in the court. Yeah, it's been out a couple days. I played about 5 hours of it, and I have some thought. You've probably all seen a bunch of videos about it, and I just wanted to give in my 2 cents, just toss those pennies in and tell you what I think. I like to start out with some positives. I do think there are positives. I do think this is not a bad game. It got overwhelmingly negative reception on like Steam, and I imagine that hasn't changed much on other systems, but I don't think it's deserving of that. A lot of the negativity comes from its tone-deaf reveal at the Game Awards as the last reveal. That was a very bad idea, and it's just being another hero shooter when that market has come and gone, and it's Overwatch and Marvel Rivals that hold that genre to come in, and at this day and age and try to compete. It's not a good idea, and it just had a very bland. Nobody looked at that trailer and thought, whoa, this is a new game, this is gonna be freaking cool. Everyone's just like, another hero shooter. If I were to give it anything, I give it like a 6 out of 10. It's above average. It's a little above mediocre. To give it some positives, it's got good gunplay. This is from some of the devs that worked on Titanfall, and you can feel that it's got some of that DNA in it, some of the DNA in there of Titanfall that makes you go, the shooting is pretty good. You got a good selection of weapons to go with it. Didn't notice any like hit registration problems or sluggish gameplay or being too fast and twitchy. It feels just right, and combat ends up being pretty fun. Its performance is pretty good. I have a 4060 Ti, and I've not noticed a lot of frame rate drops. I run it on like medium and high in some areas, so I can record video. It does pretty well, but its overall graphics are, it's a good looking game despite being uninspired overall in art design. It looks good, and to give it the most praise I could possibly give it, which is it's not as bad as Concord. I didn't play Concord, but I kept up with the hilarious train wreck that it was out of amusement, and I can say it's not as bad. I think it's pretty unfair to call this Concord 2. Maybe not in terms of what a disaster its reveal, release, and performance, player count has been pretty on par with that, but in terms of a game, it's not as embarrassing. The character designs aren't nearly as atrocious. The overall gameplay isn't as bland as what Concord had, because Concord was just another hero shooter with similar objectives to what we've seen in other games. This has something different, pretty unique, but not, I'll get into it in my negative section. I think it's safe to say, and if we're all being fair, this is not as bad as Concord. Probably gonna go the same way, but it's not the overall game disaster that was. Like I said, I would have to give this like a 6 out of 10. An above average pro shooter. It brings very little new, and what it does differently that is unique, it doesn't commit to enough. And I'll get to that in the negatives, which is the maps. So overall gameplay is big ass map, 2 fortresses, and your goal in this 3v3 is get to a siege breaker, which is like a key you get it, you bring it to a fortress, or keep the enemy from bringing it to your fortress, and when you use it, you summon a big ass battering ram that breaks the shield, with the goal being get into the base, detonate 3 bombs. You do that, you win. Obviously, if you're being attacked, you want to stop that. You can upgrade walls, and if you're attacking, you can plant bombs to break the walls down. But it's not just another one of the hero shooter standard maps of Escort or King of the Hill kind of stuff. It's pretty different from what a lot of those games have tried to do, which is to its strengths. It is a unique and cool idea. Problem is that it doesn't go into that enough. One, 3v3 is, the maps are pretty big. 3v3 is not enough. The amount of combat you actually get into, as enjoyable as it is, doesn't happen enough because it's only 3v3. It really happens when you get to the attacking the fortress part, but there are large amounts of time, minutes, where that doesn't happen. So you just have a ton of time not doing anything except gathering resources and preparing. And when you compare that to its competitors in Overwatch and Rivals, which is just constant action, constant combat, like, why would I want to do the game that's mostly build up? And then when being 3v3, when you do get into combat, it just doesn't happen enough, because once you pretty easy to get a team wipe, you're just not getting that much action, let alone, you know, encountering players in the world as you're traveling. Obviously, we all know that it was poorly advertised, a bad idea releasing it as the final reveal of the Game Awards, and then going radio silent up until like a few days before release. There's just no build up to this. It might as well have been shadow dropped, which probably would have been better, because you wouldn't have had that negative response to its reveal. Bad enough it being just another hero shooter to just reveal to a resounding thud and then say nothing up until release, no anticipation. It's no wonder this game is just not taken off. There's so many factors that go against it. If they really went into the siege aspect of the game, building, if you had, you know, like a 5v5 or 6v6, and you could have players building up your defenses, maybe some MOBA elements of minions that you could summon, because there are no NPCs on the map, which makes it feel very empty. But if you could really make it, really the core of the problem is the game brings nothing unique, and it has that element of the siege and attack that could have been the thing that sets it apart and made it something that people would find appealing compared to its competitors. Really focused on attack, defend, maybe place turrets along the fortress, things like that. Could have made it something special, but what we get is just another hero shooter with the faintest idea of something new and cool. It just doesn't commit to. Doesn't help that there's only 8 characters at launch, and none of them are pretty interesting overall, let alone their kits. Pretty standard. There's some that are kind of neat, but a lot of them are just, whatever. And there's just not enough to work with, and there's just not enough to really play around with when you get games that will release with double the number of characters. And all these problems have really led to its resounding failure. This game is just not doing well. It is dropping in players, and you know, they put out a roadmap, very brave to think you're gonna make it that far. They might have the means to come back if they do focus on that siege attack gameplay I talked about, make that its unique selling point, maybe have some other modes, because there really is just the one mode, and with that being the case, you probably want that mode to be very unique and enjoyable, which as of now it's just this game is a big and if I were them, I would take the game down, put out a statement saying that it's not ready. The game was not ready. It was ill-conceived, ill-advertised. We're gonna take it down, work on it a couple months, add more stuff, focus on its strengths, and then advertise it better for release. I think, because I think there is something there. There's the DNA of something there to work with. They just needed to focus on that rather than what we got, which is just another hero shooter. You could have called the game another hero shooter. That's what it feels like. But the unfortunate reality for Highguard and any other game that wants to come into this kind of space is you have competition, and we have a 10-year backlog of games like Battleborn, Lawbreakers, Concord that all tried to enter this space and they collapsed. So to try to do that now with a game like this, it was ill-conceived from the get-go. They really should have thought better about what they were making. I think we can all predict that this game's probably gonna die and not come back. I mean, putting out a roadmap, man. Like, you guys don't even have the player counts to keep yourself going for that long. Like, you really need to take it down, rebuild it, and re-release it as something unique, because right now what you've got just isn't going to survive. This is just going to be in the grave alongside its the word I'm looking for. Not competitors. It's ilk. Again, the aforementioned games. It's gonna be with all those. They don't do what needs to be done to repair it. But that's my thoughts. This was something I kind of stewed on for a couple days playing it. Kind of jumbled thoughts, but I just wanted to get them out there and y'all tell me what you think. Do you think this game is gonna carve out a little niche for itself, or go away and come back and succeed, or is it just gone? Is this game just another dust in the wind type of thing? Leave your comments below and tell me what you think. Until then, subscribe, all that usual stuff. Check out my streams, Twitch, YouTube, and that was just pretty succinct. I think I'll keep it there. For a jumbled, kind of a rambly video.